Hi, and welcome back to another episode. How good was that episode with Chris last time? If you haven't already tuned in, I highly recommend you go back and listen to that one. Today, I want to do a bite-sized solo episode, and I want to talk about rest because this is an area that I see people really struggle with. I think there can be this sense of rest being a particular thing, and I want to kind of clear that up a little bit because there's different types of rest. And when we can see that rest isn't just about sort of having a sleep or a nap or sitting down quietly, we can start to think about the different ways we can incorporate rest into our daily lives. And that's going to be really helpful. So we do have physical rest, and that might be going to sleep, having a nap, or perhaps sitting quietly with a cup of tea. But we also have other types of rest, like creative rest. And that might be for you engaging in something, but doing it purely for the pleasure of it. There doesn't need to be a particular outcome. There's not this kind of stress of the everyday where we're feeling like we have to produce something. We're just doing the activity purely for the pleasure of it. It kind of helps us calm our system, get into the flow of just doing something creative because we enjoy it. And that in itself can feel really restful. We also have things like sensory rest. And it might be that we need to dim the lights or we need to turn the volume down. For me, the other day, it was school holidays here and I had to close the windows because some days I love hearing the kids kind of laughing and screaming and playing. And other times it just feels too much. And there was lots of children outside. I live at the beach and they were having a great time. But for me, it was a day when I needed to turn down the volume on everything. So I closed the doors to shut out the sound. I had the lights on low later that evening. I had the television volume down lower than normal. And I was really aware that I just needed the sensory rest. We have social rest. We might be thinking about the amount of activities we've got booked in with other people, and we might start to decline some invitations. Or maybe you've accepted an invitation and you realize that that's going to be too much, so you can change your mind. It's okay to change your mind. When I said yes to the thing, this is how I was feeling. These were the circumstances I was in. But now we've got to the date of the thing or just prior to the thing. Circumstances might have changed. Your energy levels might have changed. How you're feeling might have changed. And it's okay to change your mind. It might be that you just need some time for yourself. And it's okay to do that. The other type of rest we might be thinking about is resting cognitively, so that we are stepping away perhaps from a challenging task or just a lot of tasks that we've been doing. Or maybe it's time to stop the scroll because that's actually feeling quite burdensome for us. So thinking about the things that you could do to kind of turn things down cognitively, so you're not doing as much thinking. And again, for some of our tricky minds, that can be really difficult. So it might be if your brain is like really busy thinking about loads of things, get it to focus on one thing that actually feels calmer. It might be something like watching the flame on a candle and just letting your mind play with that rather than getting caught up in a task that you've been thinking about or a problem that you've been trying to solve. We might want to rest emotionally, identify and avoid some of the stresses that are happening in life. And again, that's not always easy, but maybe it's something we can think about. And there might be some things that actually you can step away from and avoid at that moment, because not all avoidance is bad. Sometimes it's really helpful to avoid things and put them off till later, or perhaps put them off and never go back to them. We might want some time in nature or to engage in something like meditation or yoga or whatever your spiritual practice is, and give ourselves some spiritual rest. What we want to do is think about rest as an asset, not as something that's going to get in the way of us doing the things we need to do. Rest is something that's going to help us move forward to do the things we need to do, but we're going to feel better for it. And not only do we need rest in all its forms, and that will be at different times. We don't need rest in all its forms all of the time. It's going to be dependent on what you're doing, how you're feeling, where you are, what's been happening in your life, what sort of season you're in your life. But we need the rest in those forms, but we also need replenishment as well. We need the things that are topping us up, that might feel a bit busier. They might feel a bit more active. And I'll do an episode on that as well at another time. For now, I want to just keep this short. Maybe you can go and give yourself some moments of rest, perhaps choose the type of rest that you would like to focus on today and give yourself some opportunity for that. And then when you've done that, check in with yourself and ask yourself, what was it like to gift myself that? How do I feel now I've done that? And if it's helpful, make some notes about what you did and how you felt so that you can refer back to it later. Or if you're like me, you might like to look at the data and see, well, what actually works the best for me? How can I incorporate this into my life ongoing so that it does become a rest practice as well? I hope you found this helpful. Wishing you all the best for your week ahead. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time. Go well and go gently with yourself. Bye.